hazelnuts. Leaves are starting to change. I'm just getting some little patches of brown. So collecting some. Cool thing about hazelnuts is not too much eats them. Yeah. That one's a dud. A little skin. Split it in half and run down. From the top. So these are just about ripe. They're pretty much there. They could get a little more riper, but this is kind of, I guess you could say, the start of the ripe season. Like this one is underripe. Still pretty much white, not really brown. But then you got these ones, which are nice and brown with just a touch of white, you know, just a touch of white at the very tips. So it's like majority are like this, and they're pretty much there. You know, it'll eventually be all brown, a dark brown, kind of like that. Lightly salted and oiled. Giving the hazelnuts frying. Peanut butter, chocolate chips, hazelnut, brown sugar hickory bean, muffins. Peanut butter, chocolate, hazelnut, brown sugar bean, muffins. With some Nutella frosting, which is hazelnut chocolate. Mixing my dry ingredients. That's hard to see. That's 1 cup or so of flours. Ooh. A 1/4 cup or so of the sugars. No, that may be too much. No, that's about a 1/4 cup. Extra light and fluffy. These are small scraping it. So 4 small spoons. Let's make it 5. Small spoons are tricky. It should be about 3 teaspoons. This is a sweet muffin. But even sweet muffins have salt. So that looks good for my dry ingredients. Next would be my wet ingredients in there. Wet ingredients. These beans go really well with the peanut butters. It's like a beautiful combo. Other stuff would be some vanilla, some oil, and some waters. I'm going to do 1 can. So 1 can of beans, 1 cup of flour, a couple globs of that. Make a good amount of batter for 1 tray of muffins. Not a whole lot of, like a perfect amount for that. We're gonna do a couple globs of this. This is gonna be I'll do that later. That's a 2-handed project. Some imitation vanillas. Always goes good. Some oil. That was maybe 1/4 cup of oil, 1 teaspoon vanilla. I know I'm gonna need water. I don't know how much. I'm gonna put a little bit of water in there, and this jug still has a little bit left. But I'm gonna give it the peanut butter, and I'm gonna blend it up, and then add it to my dry ingredients, and see how much more water I need to add at that point. I don't want to make it too liquidy, but this is probably going to be a little solid once it's all mixed together. Just see how it goes, and then just add more water as needed. Maybe like 1/2 cup of peanut butter. About half that container. That was a really small container. And I'm just going to give it a blendings. That's going to take a little bit. Dry blended, wet blended. Mix the two together. Wets and dries mixed. I didn't need to add any water. It was actually pretty good. Just giving it some hazelnuts. I'll scrape those in later. Maybe like a 1/4 cup, 1/2 cup of roasted fried hazelnuts. These are some really old chocolate chips. Coming up on 2 years maybe. mix this together. Stop rolling over. Chocolate chip, hazelnut, peanut butter bean, muffins. Sun's not past the trees yet. It'll be another hour or so before it's past the trees. I'm gonna go ahead and pop these in the oven because they're ready for it. And this evenings, you know, I don't know, once the sun starts going down, maybe like 4 o'clock or so, you know, give it 1 hour to heat up, 3 hours to bake. They'll be ready. So these are technically, you know, dessert bean, I would say, but using flour in there so that it doesn't shrink down, you know, like just a pure bean muffin. It would expand good, but then deflate, you know. It'd make a nice base for some ice cream or something if you cook it like in the ramekin or bowl that you're going to eat out of. Very nice. Very crumbly. It was kind of an oily. Oily. So I didn't have any eggs. So I didn't use any eggs in it, which is probably why it's crumbly. And it didn't stick at all to the paper. It's really nice. I think that was because it was a little bit of an oily batter. Hazelnuts and chocolate chips. Maybe a little too much baking powder. Has a bit of a baking powderish taste to it. A hassle processing these hazelnuts. Probably about, you know, 4 hours to, you know, clean and de-skin those hazelnuts. Just taking my time. But very easy to bake it. Put it in the oven this afternoon. I was out to town. 9 o'clock. I didn't want to leave this in the oven because then the ants would climb on it and start eating it. Granted, when the sun comes out, they stop because it gets baking hot in there. 300 degrees. But at night, you never know what goes in there. So, I'm just putting it in there in the morning, pulling it out at night, and they're done. Easy peasy. Don't gotta monitor it and time it and all that. It doesn't get hot enough to where these turn into black charred bits, you know. And granted, you can't bake muffins in like 20-30 minutes, you know. Minimum, it takes an hour. An hour full sun. But it's convenient. Just set and forget, you know.